Welcome to another That's So Ray review. If you're not trying to hear any spoiler alerts over season 7, episode 10, then go ahead and click out of this video and come back because I'm about to give you some tea that you might want to see happen in action as you're watching the show. So let's get straight into the tea. Tim and Alex break up on episode 10 of season 7. Yes, one of the top couples that we would have predicted was going to get married, especially after that heartfelt episode where Tim confesses his love for Alex to Alex's father and then asks for her hand in marriage despite already proposing to her in the pods and wanting to do everything respectfully for her family. The first scene that involves Tim and Alex of episode 10 is Alex meeting Tim's parents for the first time. Both his mother and father show up to meet Alex. And the clip is fairly short, and it seems like the meeting is fairly well. The only odd thing that I felt like was off was that Tim's mother talked basically the entire time, and his dad only had a few words, only talking to really just agree with Tim, which I felt like was super odd. Either he just didn't want to be there in front of the cameras, didn't agree with the whole process, or he could just be a man of few words. But that was something that really stuck out to me. Also, another thing that was odd was that usually there's a scene where the parents or parent talk to the significant other one-on-one and they ask them more questions and also tell them things that they wouldn't say in front of their family member who's in the process. But in this case, this didn't happen. Tim was the one who pulled his parents aside and talked to them. And when he talked to them, it seemed like everything went fairly well in that conversation as well. But Tim did voice some concerns that he had. He said that him and Alex were not always in sync. He said that when they joked around, it didn't seem like they always felt like each other was necessarily funny. He also mentions that Alex is someone who likes being very physical and that he was someone who is not very physical, and he felt like this was an issue. When he voices this concern, his mother talks to him about how when you're in a relationship, sometimes you have to compromise. And she says that there's no perfect relationship. You have to be open. And so I thought that this was obviously true. The mother was saying a lot of things that sounded good. But again, during this scene, the dad doesn't say anything really. He just says yes and nods and agrees with the mother. Later on in the episode, we cut to a scene with Alex and Tim asks Alex to come and sit down because he has some concerns that he wants to voice. Tim gets into the fact that he's very upset with Alex because after the Love is Blind cameras cut off, she went to sleep, despite his parents still being there. He felt like that she should have stayed awake because his parents had driven a long time in order to come and visit them. Alex explains that she had a very long day and that she was very tired and often takes naps after work. Tim seems like he's not going to accept this and then gets into another issue that he has. He voices that he's upset with her for not communicating throughout the day as much as he wanted her to. I believe in the show that they stated that they had texted somewhere around two to three times. And Alex defends herself, saying that she was very busy during work during the day and didn't have much time to text. And Tim seems like he's just really not accepting this. She also defends herself and says that after work she called him and that when she called, he answered and was very short on the phone. Tim explains that he felt like he did not have to converse long with her because she didn't communicate with him throughout the day. Alex explains that she's someone who's more of a on-the-phone talker, which I can totally relate to her because I'm that type of person too. I would rather just pick up the phone and have a conversation with someone than to be sending texts and reading through the text all day. As they go back and forth, it's clear that they don't want to accept what one another has to say and that they're not going to come to a compromise. Tim voices that if he had to tell Alex to clean the dishes in order for her to do it, then she truly does not have the qualities that he's looking for in a wife. And he basically tells her that it's over and that he doesn't want to get married. Alex says if that is his final decision, then there is something that she wants to say. And then she voices how upset she is that Tim went as far as doing all he did with telling her father how much he loved her and asking her father for her hand in marriage. She felt like that was something that he took too far in doing when he wasn't sure about if he was going to be with her or not. And she also voices that this happened just 2 days before the breakup, which was surprising to me because that's such a quick turnaround. 2 days ago, he was professing how much he loved her and asking for her hand in marriage. And now he is sure, absolutely sure, that he even voices and says that he's okay with never seeing her again. And this just shows how really fake these relationships are on Love is Blind. And it also just shows how the state of things are in dating nowadays. Like, people just act like they're falling head over heels in love one day, and the next day they're like, I'm done. They're like quick to just cut people off and ghost them. Tim comes back with telling her that, hey, when your family came, I went shopping for groceries. I then cooked this excellent meal. And then afterwards, I was the one that cleaned the dishes. And he felt like Alex should have been the one to take initiative and clean the dishes since he was the one that did the shopping and all the cooking. And he basically says that if he had to tell her to do that, then she was not the one for him. And basically that she was the one that had to know that that was something she had to do. And Alex says that she's not a mind reader and that she felt like he should have communicated better, which I agree with. It seems like Tim is just bringing up all of these things when maybe he could have communicated them with Alex sooner. One of the worst things you can do in a relationship is have things happening that you don't like and bottle it up inside and then later on lash out on your partner about it, expecting them to have known all along that you were offended or upset about something that they did that they weren't aware of. I really feel like Tim was persuaded to break up with Alex by his parents because it really just came out of left field. 2 days before you were confessing to her father that you love her so much, reading this love letter that you wrote to her father about wanting to marry her, and now you're done after meeting up with their parents. I really feel like after the cameras cut off, his parents must have voiced something to him about either not liking Alex or just not liking the experience overall. As I said, his dad was really quiet on camera, so maybe it was his father who voiced not being happy about the whole situation, or maybe his mother. She was very vocal, and maybe after those cameras cut off, she was like, I'm not having this. You just met this woman. You're not about to marry her. And I feel like, yeah, the sleeping situation was not that big of a deal. And if it's true that Alex only slept 1 hour, like, that's not a big deal. 1 hour after working all day and then having to sit in front of Love is Blind cameras, I could see how that would be draining. So it seems like he almost used the sleeping thing as like an excuse for their breakup. Now, I don't know if these two get back together after the airing of the show, but all I gotta say is Alex better be careful because this man was really giving off characteristics of being controlling. The fact that she said she messaged him 2 or 3 times during work and that wasn't enough for him was a red flag to me because normally during work, me personally, I'm not on my phone all day reading text messages. I'm focused on my job, getting my work done as much as I can. And after work, I'm calling people up and checking on them and having social time. So when she said that she called him after work, that sounded perfectly normal to me. And then the fact that he said, hey, I'm not going to communicate with you on your terms, that really seemed like an issue because Alex never said that she was only going to communicate with him on his terms. She just called him when she was available, and that wasn't good enough for him. She was willing to communicate with him, but he didn't want to because he felt like she was ignoring him, which almost comes off as a little bit delusional because that's not what she was doing. It just seemed like she just wasn't available at the time to message all out through the workday. Also, at this point in the experiment, they lived together. The way that Tim was saying that she wasn't communicating was as if she lived in her own apartment and he wasn't going to see her in the evening. And I feel like that's very controlling if he feels like she has to communicate with him all day when he's going to see her in the evening. It's very healthy for couples to have a little bit of space, a little bit of alone time, especially if during that time they are at work. Aside from having an abusive partner or a cheating partner, the third most worst thing is probably having a partner who's just very suffocating and doesn't give you any space. Alex, girl, I hope you ran and never came back. Anyways, if you like this review, make sure you like this video, share it, also follow the page, and comment below your thoughts on the breakup.